I had always been the dependable one in the family. The one who remembered everyone's birthdays. Who booked the hotel for the family trip. Who double-checked the flights and quietly paid the bill when someone forgot their wallet. I never made a big deal out of it. I thought that's just what family did. Or at least, what I was supposed to do. I didn't mind it at first. In fact, there was a time when I felt good about it. Like I had a role. A purpose. I liked making people happy. I liked the way my mom smiled when I sent flowers on Mother's Day, or how my brother laughed when I found that rare comic book he once mentioned in passing. It felt like love, or something close to it. But the older I got, the more I realized that being the dependable one wasn't the same as being valued. I was the backup plan, the fixer, the invisible glue that held things together, and like most glue, I was only noticed when I stopped holding. My 31st birthday was coming up. Not a milestone, maybe, but it mattered to me. The year had been hard. I lost my job and picked up freelance gigs just to scrape by. And still, I helped my parents cover their mortgage when my dad's hours were cut. I didn't expect a big party or anything. All I wanted, truly, was to spend one quiet evening with my family. Just one night where I wasn't the guy who solved problems or paid bills. Just Mark, their son, their brother, a person worth showing up for. So I planned it myself. I booked a private room at a small Italian place I liked. Nothing fancy, warm lighting, soft music, a place where conversation didn't have to compete with noise. I paid the deposit. I even pre-selected the menu to make things easier. I thought of every detail, I always do. And I bought gifts. Not big ones, just small, personal things that meant something. A bowling pin keychain for Paul because we used to bowl every Friday night when we were kids. A charm bracelet for Mom, the same style as the one she lost during our trip to Lake Tahoe. A vinyl record for Dad, the kind of music he used to play on Sunday mornings while making pancakes. I just wanted it to feel like more than a dinner. I wanted it to feel like a thank you. Like family. I sent out the invitations a month in advance. Group chat, calendar alerts, even one-on-one reminders. Everyone replied with thumbs up emojis. Can't wait, messages, and smiley faces. I let myself believe it would be different this time. On the night of the dinner, I got to the restaurant early. I helped the staff set the table, placed the gifts on each seat, even double-checked the lighting. The manager looked at me and said, "Your family's lucky to have you." I smiled. A little part of me hoped, maybe this time. She's right. 7 o'clock came. I checked my phone. No messages. No missed calls. I told myself they were just late. They're always late, right? 7:15. Still nothing. 7:30. The waiter refilled my water and asked if I wanted to go ahead and order appetizers. I told him to wait a bit longer. 8 o'clock. The room was still empty. The candles flickered over unopened menus. The gifts I had wrapped sat untouched. The silence got louder. 8:15. The manager returned, gentle and apologetic. "Sir, the kitchen's closing soon." I nodded. I told her thank you. I left a big tip, gathered the gifts that now felt like mistakes, and walked outside into the cold night air. My car was parked a block away. I didn't rush. I didn't cry. I just walked slowly, like I wasn't sure what direction to go anymore. When I sat in the car, I didn't start the engine. I just stared at the steering wheel, at my reflection in the rearview mirror. I looked tired, not just physically, something deeper. Something like grief. Then my phone buzzed. For a second, my heart lifted. Maybe something happened. Maybe they were stuck in traffic or got the address wrong. Maybe they realized. I opened the notification. It was a photo. A post from my brother Paul. He was at a bowling alley. With my parents. And some cousins. All of them smiling. Holding up drinks. Captioned, "Family night." No mention of my birthday. No apology. No explanation. Just joy. Like I didn't exist. Like I had never sent the invite. Never made the reservation. Never mattered. I scrolled through the photos. Paul mid-throw. Mom laughing with a sparkly pink bowling ball. Dad at the snack counter like it was just another happy evening. Like I wasn't sitting alone in a restaurant less than 5 miles away. Wondering why I wasn't worth showing up for. That's the moment something broke. Not loudly. Not like a glass shattering. More like the sound of something inside quietly giving up. I sat there, still and silent, while the phone screen faded to black in my hand. The same way I felt, dimmed. Small, easy to forget. It was supposed to be my birthday. But all I got was proof, undeniable proof, that when I stopped being useful, I stopped being seen. The photos played over and over in my head like a cruel joke I couldn't turn off. My family, laughing, cheering, having the time of their lives, while I sat alone in a restaurant surrounded by silence and unopened gifts. There were no explanations, no apologies, just a flashing truth. I didn't matter to them unless I was doing something for them. And that's when something shifted inside me. Not anger, not sadness, something deeper, resolve. I had given them everything, time, money, energy, forgiveness, loyalty, and they had treated me like I was disposable. Like I was just the wallet with legs. The planner, the fixer, the one who showed up when no one else did. Not anymore. I unlocked my phone. My hand didn't shake. My mind was clear. First, I opened my banking app. The list of recurring payments was long. Too long. My mom's phone plan, cancelled. My dad's gym membership, terminated. Streaming services for the family account, shut down. Paul's car loan, which I co-signed and had been quietly paying on and off when he forgot to make payments, disabled automatic transfer. Mortgage support for my parents' house, paused. Indefinitely. Every click felt like pulling a thread from a web I never agreed to be trapped in. And with each thread, I felt lighter, freer. Then, I opened the family group chat. My thumb hovered for just a second before I typed. Good luck paying your bills without me. No emojis, no explanations, no passive-aggressive tone, just the truth, clean and unedited. I hit send. Then I locked my phone, turned on the engine, and drove home, not in anger, but in liberation. The next morning, the consequences began. At first, they didn't take me seriously. Paul sent a few laughing emojis. Like it was a joke. My mom texted, "You're still upset over that little mix-up?" My dad, ever the prideful one, sent a picture of his bowling trophy with the caption, "Winner's circle winking face." Winner? I had sat alone on my birthday while the winner celebrated himself at a bowling alley. But by lunchtime, the tone had changed. The panic had begun to seep in. "Mark, can we talk? Can you turn the transfer back on? Just for this month. Mortgage didn't go through. What's going on? Don't do this. Man, seriously." The messages came one after another. My phone lit up non-stop, buzz after buzz like it was alive. But I didn't answer. I didn't even read most of them. I sat at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, watching the first snow of winter fall quietly outside my window. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel the pressure to fix anyone's mess. I felt peaceful. That was when it hit me. They didn't love me. They loved what I did for them. They loved the safety I gave them, the invisible net that caught them every time they stumbled. But they didn't see me. They never had. I had been the family's human safety net, their backup plan, their quiet lifeline. But lifelines break, especially when they're never respected. By the next day, the cracks began to show. My mom's number popped up. I declined. Then my dad. Then Paul. One after another, like a machine gun of regret. But this time, I didn't answer. I let them sit in that same kind of silence I had been forced to feel on my birthday. By noon, the group chat exploded. Screenshots of failed transactions, late fees, automated emails from mortgage companies and service providers. My dad's car payment bounced. Paul tried to buy something at Best Buy and got declined at the counter. My mom's utility bill was flagged for immediate shutoff. It was like watching dominoes fall, except this time, I wasn't the one trying to hold them up. That night, I muted the group chat. Not out of cruelty, but because I didn't owe them my attention anymore. They hadn't just forgotten my birthday. They had forgotten me. And now, they were learning what life looked like without the person they took for granted. And still, no real apologies. No one said, "We're sorry we didn't show up." No one said, "You deserved better." Just panic, begging, manipulation wrapped in familiar guilt trips. But guilt doesn't work on someone who's already grieved the family he thought he had. I wasn't being cruel. I wasn't out for revenge. I was finally, for the first time in over a decade, choosing me. The guilt? Gone. The shame? Lifted. The need to explain myself? Dead and buried. I wasn't their fixer anymore. I wasn't the financial safety net. I wasn't the emotional janitor cleaning up their messes. I was free. And if that scared them? Good. Let them feel what it's like to be forgotten, even just for a moment. Let them sit in the silence they once gave me. Let them finally understand that the cost of taking someone for granted isn't paid in cash. It's paid in consequences. At first, they thought I was bluffing. Maybe it was because they'd never seen me walk away before. I'd always come back, always fixed things, always forgave. So when I cut the cord, stopped the payments, froze the accounts, and stepped back completely, they thought it was temporary. A tantrum, something I'd snap out of. They were wrong. And within days, that mistake started costing them, fast. By Monday, my mom's power bill was flagged for disconnection. She tried to make a partial payment online, but the site wouldn't process it. Her messages started sounding less dismissive, more uncertain. "Mark, can we just talk for a second? Don't be so emotional. You know how utility companies are this time of year." By Tuesday, Paul's car was repossessed, right in front of their house. He had no idea how to explain it. The neighbors stared. His face went red with shame. He texted me 6 times in a row that morning. "Dude, not cool. You really canceled everything? My car's gone. I needed that for work. I get it. You're mad, but this is overkill." But his 7th message was different. Shorter, quieter. "Okay, I messed up. I'm sorry." That was the first time I'd ever heard Paul apologize for anything. By Wednesday, my dad's mortgage company called, directly. No backup payments. No smoothing over. He tried to stall. Tried to explain it was a technical error. But they didn't care. The numbers were what they were. My name was off the autopay. No more grace periods. He didn't text me that day. He called. Twice. I didn't answer. Jessica, my cousin, one of the few in my family who hadn't turned a blind eye to how much I was carrying, was the first to actually say the words. "Mark, I don't know what happened at the restaurant. But you didn't deserve that. You've done so much for everyone. And I see it now. I really do." She hadn't been at the bowling alley. She hadn't even known about it until she saw the fallout. But the others, the ones who were there that night, they started realizing just how deeply they had messed up. Mom tried to play it off at first, calling it just a fun night that went off track. But when the power finally got shut off Thursday morning and the house sat in silence, no lights, no heat, she cracked. That's when the real guilt started. She left me a voicemail, her voice shaking. "Mark, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this. I didn't think it would go that far. Your birthday, we were going to surprise you later that week. I swear. But things got messy. I didn't think." Exactly. They didn't think. They didn't think I'd be hurt. Didn't think I'd stop helping. Didn't think I'd ever say no. My dad wasn't far behind. Normally stoic. Too proud to admit fault, but this time, even he faltered. He called again Friday night. This time, he didn't leave a message. He just stayed on the line until it went to voicemail. A minute later, he texted, "Your mom's not sleeping. Paul's barely eating. We know we messed up. Can we talk?" But by then, they weren't just regretful, they were unraveling. None of them knew how to navigate the mess. For years, I had been the quiet hand smoothing the paperwork, setting up payment plans, calling service reps, negotiating late fees. I had taken care of all of it. And without me, they were drowning. By Saturday, the fear turned to shame. Jessica called to say they were selling furniture online. Mom was too embarrassed to tell her friends what was really going on. Dad's coworkers had heard rumors about the foreclosure, and his boss had already cut his hours. Paul, now jobless and without a car, had moved back into my parents' house, a house barely hanging on. His messages became erratic. He apologized, then blamed me, then apologized again. Guilt twisted into desperation. "Mark, please, I can't find work without a car. You know I messed up. But you're making a point. We get it. You win. Now can we just go back?" But there was no going back. Regret doesn't erase the night they left me sitting at a table alone, surrounded by gifts I picked out with care. Shame doesn't undo the silence they gave me while I stared at my phone, hoping someone, anyone, would say, "We're on our way." And now they knew it. Now, they felt it. That cold, empty space where love should have been. That space they left me in. It was all around them now. Mom cried in the dark. Dad drank more than he should. Paul slept on a stained couch, texting apologies he couldn't afford to mean. They missed the warmth I had given them for years. But this time, I wasn't going to light myself on fire just to keep them warm. The silence didn't scare me anymore. After years of being the one who always answered, always rushed in, always patched things up. It felt strange but comforting to simply not. No buzzing phones, no late-night guilt trips, no emergency calls asking for money, time, or favors wrapped in the word family. Just quiet. But this time, the quiet didn't feel cold or punishing. It felt peaceful, like the calm after a long, brutal storm. In the weeks after I cut ties, I gave myself space to breathe, maybe for the first time in my adult life. I went back to therapy. A new therapist this time. Someone who specialized in family dynamics and boundaries. She didn't ask me to justify myself. She didn't make me feel dramatic or bitter. She helped me see something I had missed for years. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Bit by bit, I began building something better. I moved out of the apartment where I had spent so many nights waiting for someone else's crisis. I found a small, sunny condo on the edge of town, nothing fancy. But it had tall windows, clean air, and a view of the park that turned golden in the fall. There were no signs of the life I left behind, just space to start fresh. And I filled it slowly, not with people who needed things from me, but with those who saw me for who I truly was. Jessica came over often. We'd drink coffee on the balcony and talk about books, life, peace. She never asked for anything but time and honesty, and gave both back without hesitation. I joined a local hiking group. At first, I was quiet, observing, listening, but eventually, I started speaking up, laughing more, trusting again. These weren't people who knew my history, just people who liked being outside. Breathing fresh air, walking forward one step at a time. And maybe that's what I needed most, forward motion. When my next birthday came around, I didn't throw a big dinner. I didn't send invitations. I didn't wait for people who wouldn't show. Instead, I spent the day hiking with Jessica and a few new friends. We reached a ridge just before sunset, where the trees opened up into a breathtaking view of the valley below. The sky turned warm with amber and rose. There was wind, yes, but also stillness. At the top, Jessica handed me a small gift, a leather-bound notebook. Inside, on the first page, she had written, "You deserved better. You still do. Here's to writing your own story now." I didn't cry because I was broken. I cried because something inside me was healing. Because for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. There was no drama, no spotlight, no expectations, just peace. 6 months after the birthday that wasn't, I received an email from the mortgage company. The house had been sold at auction. A young couple had purchased it. They planned to tear it down and rebuild from scratch. I read the message twice, then closed it with a calm heart. My parents had moved into a small rental on the far side of town. No porch swing, no backyard barbecues, no more big family holidays. Paul was working night shifts at a gas station. No car, no backup plan, just surviving, the way he used to assume he'd never have to. I didn't feel joy in their loss. I didn't feel smug. Their downfall wasn't my victory. It was simply the natural result of a system that was never fair to begin with. They had built their comfort on my sacrifice. And when the foundation was removed, it collapsed. That wasn't revenge. That was truth. About a year after everything fell apart, I got one final message, an email from my mother. There was no subject line. Just a few simple lines. "We know we hurt you. We're sorry. We lost everything, and we lost you. If you never want to speak to us again, we understand. But if you ever do, the door is open. No guilt, no games. Just truth." It didn't feel like a victory or a breakthrough. It felt finished. And I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter. Not because I wanted to hurt them back. I didn't reply because that chapter of my life had closed. Some things, once broken, don't need to be put back together. Some stories aren't meant to be rewritten. They're meant to end, so you can begin again. And I did. Now, I wake up without dread. I make coffee without the weight of incoming demands. I spend my time with people who lift me up, not pull me down. My calendar has space for me. My life has space for me. I've learned that family isn't always who you're born to, it's who shows up. Who stays, who respects you without needing to be paid for it. And on quiet nights, when the snow starts to fall outside my window, I sometimes think about that restaurant table, the one I sat at alone. It used to hurt. Now, it feels like a turning point. A moment where everything that needed to break finally did. And something better began.